you're obviously opposed to any kind of residential condo construction on any park ground.
Yes.
That is part of how this will be planned. If you're not going to do that, then how will you raise the money to develop the lakefront?
Well, they said that if they're going to increase the fees for docking and for slips on the lake. And it's going to be a considerable increase from my understanding. I've not heard any figures. I have a brother that pays $175 for his slip now. And it's going to be a sizable increase from what I was told. So if they increase the fees, they'll be generating fees. You don't have to pay cash for everything, but you don't have to borrow millions and get little results for it at the same time. There's grants and things of that nature to help with the developments. The trail around the basin, I can't think of the number on that basin, but there's lots of money out there to do that project, so the amount that would cost would be subsidized by the federal government or the state, and that could be done first, and you could draw people to the area, and there's lots of different things, and I'm not sure how many houses the Park District currently owns, but from what I understand, it's a sizable number. Put those to rent for fees.
Do you have any reaction to all this, Mr. Kenny?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Kind of wandered away from the question, so I just want to give you a chance.
Okay. Well, just on the issue of houses in the parks. There are several houses in neighborhood parks, or in all the parks, frankly. It's not just neighborhood. And most of those are occupied by employees who have the responsibility of helping oversee and be the eyes of people that are coming through there that might damage the parks. I don't think we're in the business of going out and renting those, by the way. So far as the pool in Nelson Park, it was going to require a huge expense to repair that pool. We were averaging, the last year it was open, about 50 people a day using that pool. It's kind of hard to justify repairing it for two reasons. One, it's the number of people using it. The other thing, when we were envisioning some kind of a project in Nelson Park, why do something there that might interfere with other developments? As far as the bond issue is concerned, we've offered to provide $4 million on this project through bond issue for bonds that are coming, that are being paid off, and this would not change the tax rate. It would just continue what it is.
So you're saying that the Park District actually isn't borrowing additional funds, they're just going to kind of
That's right.
continue. Okay.
Right. And so far as disc golf in Fairview Park, I'm not aware of that in the 18 years I've been on the board. Yeah, disc golf would be one of the items that projected to be built in this project. It's not real expensive to build. We're talking in the ballpark of maybe $18,000 to $20,000, and you don't really know that until you have it contracted and built. But we're talking in that ballpark or less, and it's been very popular in other communities, and we've had some demand for it here. They usually do not. It's not a fund-producing project. Those are usually set up where they can play that game without paying a fee. And so far as the neighborhood parks, I've heard this before, and I'd like to take a moment or two, if you'll allow me, to address that issue. In the past, we've put roofs on the Frontier building at Mueller Park. We've put roofs on the pavilion at Sunnyside Park. We've remodeled the restrooms in Crest Haven, Mound, Hess, and Lions. New swings at Lions. We've improved the ball diamonds at Hess and Sinewick and South Shores. We replaced the tennis courts in Lincoln and Cresthaven. We've installed a walking trail at Hess, and then we have a grant pending to do additional work at Hess Park. That's adjacent to Harris School, and the trail we have there is gravel. Part of it is asphalt, but a good share of it is gravel. And if this grant comes through, and we think it will, that'll be an asphalt trail around there that's used by students at Hess Park also, at the Harris School. They have a number of handicapped students there that are wheelchaired, and they can use that trail for their kids to use. We've installed basketball courts at Johns Hill just recently. And in 1995-96, we replaced 30 playgrounds in the neighborhood parks. And in the budget this year for the parks, there's Fairview bridge construction. There's the bridge in Fairview that goes from the front part to the back part will not allow fire trucks through there. So it's projected to replace that. And I think it's about a $750,000 expenditure, as I recall. And relamp, or put new bulbs and different bulbs in the east end of Fairview. Repair the parking lot in Kiwanis Park. Seal coat and seal the parking lot in Mueller Park. Repair the basketball courts in Mueller Park. And renovate the interior of the pavilion in Mueller Park. Put infield warning track mix in Rotary Park. Repair South Shores Ballpark. Put a new pavilion roof in Garmin. A new pavilion and walking trails in Grant. And new basketball courts in Lyons. And repair the road repairs and repair the pavilion #2 in Nelson. You know, we can't do it all, but we have tried to maintain them in the past, and we've got that in the budget for this year.
One question is a little bit different subject, is one of the ideas, or one of the thoughts about dealing with your resources and everything is to consolidate or collaborate with other governmental units, and you know, perhaps that doesn't have to go all the way to joining forces totally, but you know, finding some ways to do those things. What efforts do you think the Park District should make if you were elected? What would you encourage if you were elected to do those? Go ahead, Mr. Clark. I got lost track. But.
Well, when the Park District was set up, it was set up in conjunction with other entities in the city, with the different clubs like Lions Club and Kiwanis and Sinewick, and it was set up with the use of the schools. They used to do crafts and things and shows and all of the arts, so to speak, basically involved with the schools. They used to have the different clubs. I don't know that the gun club was so much used in with the schools, but I know that the archery was, or with the Park District, the archery was, and they bring in baseball greats and put on clinics. And there used to be lots of activities in all the parks from dusk, or from dawn to dusk. At least when I was growing up, because I grew up at Lions Park. And they are doing some maintenance, but they've got 23 parks in the city.
That's close. I'm not exactly.
I think it's 23 parks, and they're doing some maintenance. But last summer when I went to Sinewick Park, outside the bathroom was a porta potty.
I guess my question is more of how would you see the Park District and perhaps the city, county, school district, all of those collaborating in order to see if there are some expense savings that could be there?
Well, I'm not against collaborating with any of them that have a manageable way of meshing with the system. I totally against seeing the two become one, because like we had a meeting the other night, and the city, if they make a cutback, they've cut people back from the library. Well, if they didn't have to cut the library, if they could cut stuff from the parks, I imagine the parks would go first. I would like to see the organizations and the different groups in the city combine efforts as much as possible to reduce costs.
Okay. Mr. Kenny?
I'd like to cite a couple of situations where we're already doing that. The school district and the park district, where we have schools and parks adjacent to each other, like in South Shores or Garfield or Hess, Kiwanis, or not Kiwanis, Muffley School and Sinowick, and those kind of arrangements. 4 or 5 years ago, we suggested to the school district that let us mow those yards in the summertime, so that when mowers are going out to South Shores to mow that, there's no point in the school district sending mowers out there and the park district sending mowers out there. So we came to an agreement. The park district is mowing those fields and yards when they're adjacent to each other, and the school district ends up paying us for that. We're using seasonal employees to do that. We have worked with the Conservation District in building the bike path, walking path from Fairview Park out to, once I can't think of the name of the conservation facility out there.
Rock Springs?
Rock Springs, thank you. Need all the help I can get. We are currently, as I mentioned earlier, adding on to the bike trails going out toward Forsyth. Long range, we plan on getting out there, but in this summer it'll just be from Fairview Park out to Greendale Park. We worked with the Visitors Convention Bureau in bringing softball tournaments here. With the cooperation of the Visitors Convention Bureau, we got the state high school girls golf tournament here this past year. The small schools played at Red Tail and the big schools played at Hickory Point. They're going to be here for the next 4 years. It was a 5-year contract. By the way, that went over really well. We got great feedback from that. As you know, the disc was built in cooperation with Millikan University. They needed a facility for their students and to keep up with the other colleges, the private colleges. And we thought that we needed an indoor facility for winter activities for our public. That's worked out really well. They share half the cost and we share half of it. And of course, we got this ongoing project with the city at Nelson Park.
Any other questions? Why don't we just end up by each of you just telling us real quickly why voters should vote for you. We'll start with you, Mr. Kenny.
Well, I think they should vote for me because I have an established record of 18 years of providing support for the park district in the way, and the taxpayers in the way I vote. I've been opposed to the tax raises. There have been a couple along, but they've been very minor. We've tried to keep our golf fees and other fees as low as we possibly can. And if they want fiscal responsibility, plus trying to bring a number of improvements to our community, I think they should vote for me.
Mr. Carter.
I'd like for people to vote for me, basically to change the direction of the park board so that it's more tax-based, recreational-based for the taxpayers of the city. I think that costs could be reduced. We have one of the most expensive courses to play in any of Decatur. They have some daily rates, but it's not they're not friendly to the older golfers. Many people have stopped playing golf in Decatur, only play outside town because of the increase in fees. They've had two 30% increases in fees in the last 10 years. First one was in '02. There was a 35% increase in fees. It used to be real reasonable to play, and I'd like to see it more friendly to the people. The parks are for recreational purposes. I'd like to see them all maintained in a much better fashion. I don't have figures as to what is intended, but I'd like to see it done. I know that parks that I've been to aren't as well kept as they should be. I think the east side of town deserves a pool as well as everything going west and south. As far as lakefront development, I'm not for any residential in the park, and I am for recreational opportunities expanded. But I want to see it done on a physically intelligent or better managed way. And I don't have the numbers to go over because I'm not privy to those. So vote for me, and hopefully we can keep things open and change the direction a little bit.